It is the divine responsibility of each individual to try to advance and improve the world that they were given at birth. So far, my generation has yet to fulfill this moral obligation to our Creator and heirs. This is not an easy task, and it will require powerful tools and or weapons. In about the next 10 minutes or so, we will acquire the necessary method and mechanism with which to be able to fulfill our purpose. We were blessed, or even burdened if you so choose, to have been sheltered by the shadow of what's known as America's greatest generation. Their sacrifice for their children and their historical legacy is that they fought and won the largest war in the world's history. My generation embraced this warrior code as our heritage, and we have trod the path of conflict longer than any set of siblings ever to draw a free breath. We have fought more wars for more years than any men and women in our country's history. We have waged war in Vietnam, Panama, Grenada, Bosnia, Somalia, Kuwait, Iraq, Afghanistan, and now Syria. We have sacrificed lives on every unfrozen continent in this world and have been at war at some time, someplace on this planet for over 40 years. It only took 4 years to win World War II. And then, when we wanted to show that we were really serious about a domestic issue, we declared war on it also, as in the war on poverty and the war on drugs. Our battlefield won-loss record so far is not going to get us in the Hall of Fame. History will record, however, that we toiled mightily, fought bravely, and paid a precious price without ever attaining our goal of victory, fortune, and stature for the ages. At this point in our lives, the intelligent thing to do would be to examine and reassess our motives and methods to fulfill our divine responsibility. It should be obvious to us by now that we will never be able to duplicate or equal the military conquests of our fathers. So, do we quit fighting? No. Let's do, however, contemplate or consider a new way to wage war against tyranny and evil. The standard model of war, or off-the-shelf plan that we have been following, is the same old blueprint or paradigm of our forefathers, wherein we engage in a conflict or challenge an enemy, and then we try and figure out a way to win the damn thing. It is conceivable, possible, and entirely rational that we need to flip this unproductive blueprint for war 180 degrees. You do not walk out in the woods to hunt a bear and hope that you can find a big gun under a tree before the bear finds you. But that is exactly the formula for war that we have been following for the last 50 years. The only way we can secure the future for our children and create a lasting legacy is by finding our own voice, our own identity, and our own strategy for victory that should include the spiritual principles contained in the art of war. A gun, no matter how big or how small, is merely a device that focuses the principle of power contained in exploding gunpowder, and it hurls a deadly projectile wherever we aim it. The power of the atom is a naturally occurring force of creation that our fathers learned how to unlock and harness into a horrifying weapon. We too can discover an eternal elemental force and learn to utilize its power to achieve our goal of advancing mankind. It is said that after Alexander the Great arrived at Gaugamela and surveyed the Persian forces of Darius III, which outnumbered his own Greek army 4-1, he slept like a baby. He knew that his tactics and training already had the battle won before it was even fought. We can put ourselves in a similar position of invincibility against any and all odds by utilizing the simple process and logical sequence of harnessing an invincible eternal power and then engaging in a conflict or selecting a worthy opponent that is vulnerable to this weapon. We will be assured of victory before the first shot is even fired. What will be the nucleus of our energy? The power we choose that will define us to generations we will never meet. The wardens that imprison my generation's hopes and shackle human effort to fulfill destiny's declarations are evolutionary, powerful, and exist at the instinctual level. Fear, hate, and all forms of evil share a common ancestry and can only be totally defeated or crushed by the universal force of good that is contained in the truth. The unlimited power of truth is readily available to every man, woman, and child, and yet it contains so much energy as to be indestructible and capable of vanquishing all our enemies. History and fate have been trying for eons to remind us that there is nothing, absolutely nothing more powerful than the truth. Over infinite time and against all opponents, the truth will prevail, and it will anoint the righteous as victors. It is free to those who choose to arm themselves with it, and to those who are brave enough to be sanctified by it. The truth is the ultimate power we can ever harness to fulfill our divine responsibility and advance creation. Just as the atomic bomb was merely the delivery device used to convey our Father's mastery of the minute, we shall have to alchemize a weapon to utilize our knowledge of the celestial power of the truth. What can we possibly use as a routing device or applicator of the truth that will target only the tyrants of mankind and spare the innocent? In our current fight for freedom and justice, words are the only thing worthy and malleable enough to launch the power of the truth. Carefully chosen and expertly crafted words have eternal life and are mightier than any size or type of weapon that man has ever annealed on an anvil. Words have always freely crossed the oceans, traversed mountain ranges, and strode over the artificial boundaries of man-made kingdoms that were carved by the sword. Words are even immune to the ravages of time and have passed through the centuries to provide mankind with the wisdom of the past, hope for the future, and celestial strength for the present. We now have the perfect weapon, an Excalibur, bonded from the union of a perpetual power, the truth, and an unwavering weapon, carefully chosen words. The next chapter of our talk will be about how to target an enemy to crush, or which war it is that we choose to win. But before we do that, let's test fire our ultimate weapon. As spokesperson for the Free Hand for Truth Party, I challenge the Democrats and the Republicans to a fight to see who can provide the best solutions for the problems that they have created. Round one. Truthful fact number one. For the last 50 years, this country has only been governed or ruled by two political parties, the Democrats or the Republicans. Truthful fact number two. For the last 50 years, they have done nothing but continually blame each other. Truthful fact number three. They're both right, because for the last 50 years, they have cooperated, conspired, and even competed to see who could run this country into the ground. End of fight. I ask you, I urge you, join the Free Hand for Truth Party to utilize the most powerful force that there is to save this country.